let go of the tyranny of judgment. Unburden yourself of self-defined errors and mistakes. Begin to see what is beyond our perceptions and judgments that limit our essence, our expression, our creativity to unfold in moments of perceived errors or mistakes. Allow yourself naturally to stumble through life, experiencing the ebb and the flow, letting go of your preference to one and resistance of another. In soulful play, we are invited into our mistakes, into our errors, into our shortcomings, in order to be invited into the fullness of ourself. It is only by bathing in and accepting and playing with our mistakes and errors that we are able to experience our wholeness, the fullness of ourselves, and tap into our creative capacity. If we limit our reality through perceptions of errors and mistakes, we seldom seek the treasures held within. And we limit our creative energy as we use it in part to resist mistakes and errors that are often taught or learnt from external experience. But you are a sacred vessel, a sacred spirit of creative potential. And what is a mistake for me may not be a mistake for you. And what society deems as a mistake may not be a mistake for you. And so it is important to discern for yourself what is right from wrong, and to let go, or to loosen, or to begin to loosen the grip on what you believe is a mistake or an error. As often the soul will play with us through mistakes or perceived mistakes. And maybe we will be experiencing mistakes over and over and over again, and we are, until we get to a spilling over point of frustration. And in that frustration, we have to evaluate whether we are long-term going to continue to fix this error, or maybe the soul is inviting us, or invite your soul inviting you to inquire, to play with, to bathe in these errors or mistakes, and maybe loosen your judgment and self-descriptions of them. And in doing so, begin to broaden out and understand the hidden treasure in those mistakes. And in bathing in our mistakes, we no longer resist our wholeness, our fullness, and we begin to integrate our perceived mistakes and errors into a full-bodied, soulful expression filled with creative potential that we can shine into the world. Because you ultimately have your own story and your own creative capacity, and society cannot determine what is right and wrong for you. Society can only offer a very, very broad guideline, but your soul is very nuanced and creative and cannot be articulated in a broad guideline system. Society is a useful plateau to build up from, not to exist on eternally. And in your mistakes or errors or difficulties or weaknesses, you begin to unearth treasures that no one other than yourself can unearth. And that is where the soul emerges, in the intimate nature with you and your perceived weaknesses. As you begin to be brave by bathing in what once you hid from. And that bravery is paid in kind as you begin to integrate the wholeness of your creative capacity that will lead you down a path of fertile expanse. This is your sacred responsibility to yourself to ultimately understand that society can lead you so far. The guidelines of society, culture, can take you so far, but at some point you have to dive into yourself and stop fixing yourself based on what you learnt from society, school, family, or friends from a young age. At some point you have to face those self-taught descriptions of yourself projected externally onto you, and to assess, based on your unique relationship to creative potential, what is right from wrong for you, and what exactly is your unique treasure. And maybe your unique treasure is in the very thing that you are trying to fix, or the very thing that you have been taught to fix. And that is part of the process, is unraveling that within before you can then express it without. So it is understanding that creativity is both internal and external, and to be prepared to go in before we can go out, and to be patient in that process, to be soft in that process to yourself as you begin to peel back layers of limitation that have been prescribed to you from external projections of what society or individuals believe is right for you. But everyone is a unique expression of creative potential. And so what is right for me is maybe not right for you, and this applies to everyone and everything. What is right for a plant isn't right for a bird. It's the same thing. We have to listen to our own connection, to our own light, to heed to our own connection to the creative potential we exist in. And we limit that so often because we are trying to align ourselves to society's vision that is not your vision. And we can contribute to society more effectively once we are able to express ourselves originally and authentically and with integrity to who we are deep within ourselves. That is how we can contribute to society. Not by limiting ourselves to play safe, to fit in, to heed to what was told to us at a younger age, but actually release that attachment to society and become aligned with yourself to then fully serve society's real needs, which is your authenticity. Society knows what it wants, but doesn't know what it needs. And what it needs is individuals who know who are connected to their originality. That is the best outcome for everyone. But so often we play the game of external acceptance because we are, as a society, tapped into our wants rather than our needs. And what we often want as a society is a lot of people in alignment, supporting each other to feel safe. When actually what we need is a lot of individuals who pursue their own paths, who feel safe in themselves, who can then create a safe, creative space in society that is fertile, that is bold, that is strong, that is united through individuals. That is the paradox. We are stronger together when we are more aligned to ourselves. And that is what society hasn't figured out yet. And what we are trying still to learn. As we begin to intuitively sense that society doesn't deliver our authentic needs and the descriptions that were imposed on us and who we are and how we should act and what we should do in life don't feel like they did don't feel as convincing as they did when we were younger and we were growing up, when we were more impressionable. As we begin to soften our grip on those societal expectations, we begin to tap into a much broader expanse and canvas, and begin to become intimate with our gifts, which is how we really serve society, is being grounded and strong in ourselves, in our authenticity, and being committed and devotional to our originality. It's not about being the best, it's about being the most authentic and original. There is no other measure. There is no other measure to the heart or to the soul. That's all the soul and the heart cares about, is devotion to self in every sense, not just in the work, not just in relationships, not just in these moments, not just 80%, but devotional in every moment, in every aspect of yourself. And that is how society will become fertile rather than hostile, and connected rather than divisive. Because at the moment society is made whole by fragmented individuals, when really we need society to be made whole by full-bodied individuals who are prepared to let go of judgments, of mistakes and errors, and begin to really inquire into those mistakes and errors, and drop the effort to wrestle with these mistakes and errors, and maybe to actually be intimate with them and to soften into their expanse. Because what is perceived limitation, once we soften into them, is a revelation. And that's magic right there. That's something you will never learn in school or university or in a job. That's a currency far beyond any kind of monetary value. And that is something personal, deeply felt, and radiated through the fullness of your existence and yourself. And once we begin to do that more and more as individuals, we will see that replicated and manifested in society in meaningful ways, in ways beyond law and economic enterprise or business. And these things have their value, of course, but a populace of individuals radiating their sacred connection to the creative potential is, that's effortless creation, frictionless creation. Whereas government and the economy and business, there's some tension there, some division there, which is natural. But once we have a population, a society filled with individuals connected to their authentic and original self, to their source, that's this effortless radiation of the creative potential within, which is a individual path, and to learn that by being selfish and prioritizing oneself, and to let go of these judgments, these learned judgments, and begin to be selfish, and begin to actually understand that in selfishness is a divine love and ecstasy within yourself awaiting nourishment. And in that nourishment, you are not being selfish, you are serving everyone and everything in this world. Just as the birds, by flying, nourish our souls in their graceful flight. They not only serve themselves, but they serve everyone, as they are in harmony with everyone and everything through their authenticity. And that is what I invite you to do. Until next time, bye.